Welcome to Who's Right, What's Left. I'm your co-host, Melissa Reinhart.
And I'm Matt Neubauer. We're here to discuss some of the important issues that face Americans today and have some civil discourse and banter between friends and parties.
Who's right?
What's left?
Hello, everybody. I'm Melissa.
I'm Matt. Welcome back.
Welcome back to the circus. Today, this was a topic I actually introduced to Matt, and he was game. And we're going to talk about, respectively, if Donald Trump is elected president, how I, as a Democrat, will feel the day after he's elected back into the office. And then Matt will talk about if Biden is reelected, how he'll feel the day after.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I don't think it's going to come as any surprise if Donald Trump wins or is reelected. I'm going to feel very disappointed, but I think my disappointment will be trumped, pun intended, by concern.
Same.
You are right, and okay, you just give me my time here. No. He's a highly polarizing figure, and I think you and I could probably agree on that. Mm-hmm. He's a demagogue. You know, he knows how to reach the masses, of which he does not really identify with, and he knows how to whip them up and get them excited. And that's my concern. You know, there's been so much, and even prior to his tenure as president, you know, he's known to be a very eccentric person in New York. I've known people who've worked for him that he did not pay. That's his reputation in New York City. He doesn't pay the people that work for him. You know, he's a capitalist at its finest, right? And I appreciate you being patient, Matt, because I can tell you. That's right. I'll take notes when you're talking.
Right.
You know, there's just so much information about the groups that he's disparaged, you know, whether Haitians and African people in African nations or those coming. Yes. He called people from Haiti and African nations shithole nations.
Not the people.
The people are from these shithole nations.
The government.
Anyway.
Okay.
And the people coming from Mexico, when we've heard this a lot, they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, when we know the reality is it's a minority of those coming here. He's disparaged U.S. service members and veterans and calling them suckers and losers on the record. He called John McCain's considered a war hero, but he does not consider him a war hero, or that he was, because he was captured. Never mind the service he had until the point he was captured. And of course, we've seen the horrible mocking of a reporter's disability. And then we know how he feels about women, you know, and I don't need to go into details about that. And then there are 91 criminal charges. But we won't go into details on that. I'm concerned.
Convictions. How many convictions?
Well, that's what we're going to find out.
No,
that's what we've got to wait, unfortunately, for that. And I truly wish that could be decided before the election.
I bet.
Well, no, not for that reason. I actually it's just like, let's just get it over with, right? One way or another, right? Because if he's reelected, I'd like to know that the man is not facing felonious.
Right.
Forever.
Yeah.
I think that's fair, right? I'd like to know a standing president isn't going to be going to prison. Ideally.
Yours probably should be too, but yeah.
Okay.
All
anyway, right. But it's you know, he's polarizing, and his followers. My concern will be they're going to feel more emboldened, like, you know, what we saw with January 6th a few years ago. And I don't want that to happen in municipalities or even in our rural in communities where they feel really emboldened that he's won again. And what's that going to mean for the rest of us who don't feel the same way that they do? I'm not going to be mourning. I'm just going to be very, very disappointed and even more concerned. I will pause.
All right.
And let you comment.
Okay.
Because I also want to hear how you're going to feel if Biden's reelected.
Well, fair. All right. So let's go back to the very beginning, pre first term. All right, I was sitting on my my couch with several other people, like-minded individuals, and we were all thinking the same thing. Like, why don't we get rid of all these professional politicians? Well, I like a little bit of experience, but you know, there comes a time where it's just toxic. These guys who are career congressmen and senators who do nothing but I mean, it just becomes so toxic. Get some fresh meat in there. Who better for the executive branch than an executive? We've got a plethora of executives in the United States, right? So how about let's find one who can run a business, who's been successful, who can do stuff other than, you know, like the Bush dynasty or Bill Clinton, bless his heart. But I mean, come on, let's get a real executive. And the universe presented Donald Trump. Now, would that have been my first pick? No. That's like the evil genie. Like I wish I had $1 million, and the evil genie says, "Okay, hey, your grandma just passed. You inherited $1 million, right?" Like there's always the dark side of that. So we got our executive. It turned out to be him. Our first pick, absolutely not. You know, but he was honest. He said what he was thinking. You knew what he was thinking, so he was tweeting about it. Spell check or not, still tweeting about it. Were they mean?
All the dishonesty was going on behind the scenes.
But I think it always is. I think that's unfair. Always dishonesties. They're all dishonest.
Well,
I mean, let's face it.
Dishonesty that's led to 91 criminal charges. But anyway.
That's okay for overvaluing real estate. I overvalued my real estate when I tried to sell my house and got like everybody. That's why so many other businessmen are pulling out of New York, is because, like, are we going to get in trouble for this? Like, we've been doing this for years.
Okay, well, I don't.
New York came back and said, well, you don't have millions of dollars to protect.
No, I don't. But even if I did.
But even like some of the disparaging remarks, like, oh, there's criminals and rapists coming over the border. Okay, yeah, small percentage, bet.
Yes.
What was the percentage of terrorists on Flight 93? Small percent. You know what I'm saying? How many does it take? Like, how many are we going to let across? I can't get back from, Europe without going through the third degree and throwing my oranges away and whatever the heck else I brought and getting strip searched and x-rayed and everything. And I get to come. I got a passport. I'm a citizen. I got a driver's license. And these guys are just strolling over the border with God knows who kid and how many pounds of fentanyl and just strolling through. And if you dare stop them, it's because you're racist. It's crazy.
Okay, we're going to save the border. Maybe we should save that for another podcast.
We can save the border for another time. So
that is definitely one I want to talk about.
Let's talk about some other stuff.
Okay.
The sex trafficking. There were several websites that were used for sex trafficking, just in open internet.
Okay, but what's this got to do with Trump?
And within the first year, shut those down. The FBI took those over, had those shut down. Several presidents have promised we're going to bring the troops back. Obama said he was going to bring the troops back. He didn't. No troops were brought back until Trump was in. We had the least amount of people overseas since Ronald Reagan.
Right.
Least amount of people brought those folks back. Campaign promise kept. Am I down for that? Yep. Do I care that he said something stupid a week later on Twitter? Nope. Troops are back. That's all I care about. Troops are back and $2.25 gas. That's what really, that's my issue as a blue collar worker. So yeah, we do, our best foot forward. All right. Maybe we got somebody off the B list, admittedly, done some stupid stuff, but overall, I think it's a win. I thought his policies were good. I thought he was as effective as he could be, having the media as an enemy.
And perhaps we'll save that as another topic.
All right,
in the future. Okay.
Write them down.
So you know how I'll feel if Trump is reelected. How are you going to feel that Wednesday in November after the election if Biden's reelected?
All right. So I have had a record. You can deep dive my Facebook page, whatever you need to. I've had a record of not criticizing presidents openly.
Oh, I haven't either.
Because I realize that's a certain level of stress and that's a certain level of knowledge that I don't know anything about. For example, Obama said, we're going to bring a lot of these troops home, doubled down, doubled the numbers. People were calling bullshit on it. And I, for a minute I wanted to too, but I thought, he didn't know something when he made that promise that he now knows because he's in the Oval Office had to change his mind. I can forgive that. Okay, I can forgive that. So I wouldn't criticize that. He said the border was a crisis. Every president since Reagan has said the border is a crisis. Bill Clinton said the border is a crisis. Obama admitted it was a crisis. Nobody did anything about it. The second everybody agreed on it, but nobody wanted to do anything about it. And the second Trump did something about it, he's just, it's because of racism. Joe, President Biden,
thank you,
I think is, and we'll get back to, he said some stupid stuff too. But when you've got the media on your side and that gets buried, he made some very racist comments that are just not spoken about.
Decades ago, too.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not perhaps current or recently, but that's been a part of the historical record. Kamala brought that out during the debates.
Yep. I just think in his case, he was a decent politician, did what I think he thought was best. I think to parade him out for a second term in his condition is nothing more than cruel. They're using him as a pawn to do God knows what. He's got a handler. He can't walk off stage without his wife. I don't know who's making the decisions.
Dr. Neubauer,
It's
what's
not
your
him.
diagnosis?
Dementia? I don't know. I mean, he can't complete a sentence.
Well, people could say the same thing about Trump. He's having a harder time finding his words.
Yeah. Maybe.
In front of the media.
But I mean, it's really sad. I mean, it really is.
You
It's
look
like
sad.
I feel for the guy. Even as a Democrat, he is being milked. These should be his retiring years. They're using him for something. He's not getting any joy from this. He's not, and a lot of presidents don't get joy from it. I mean, I get it's, but it's got to be a little rewarding to
It's
think
not
you're
a job
making
I'd
some
ever
change.
want.
But I don't know. But I don't think he's there.
I think at the national level, but we could even say here at the local level, both parties don't do a terrific job in succession planning.
True.
When Biden and Trump are the best individuals you can put forward representing each party, and Biden is polarizing too. You know, I'm a faithful Democrat. I don't agree with everything he's said or done historically either. However, what's next? One of them is going to win, right? And then what happens in 4 years? Who are we grooming to become the next president and VP? You know, who are we doing that here locally for mayor? Right. Who we need to succession plan, even in my own party here locally. All right, after Mayor Henry's term is done, which he plans on finishing, what's next? Right. And I think we need to be more forward thinking instead of just the present. I mean, I am concerned. I am concerned about what's going to happen in November. How will you feel, though, the day after if Biden wins?
I seriously will be extremely worried as well for different reasons.
Okay.
For different reasons.
Okay.
You know, you've got these, you've got folks coming over from God knows where, multiple different countries. You know, we've got they're changing squatter laws in Georgia this session because of all the squatters that have gone in and taken over houses. There's a famous, I know you don't watch, but there's a famous TikToker who's from Ecuador who said, hey, come over here. Here's how you get a house in the United States. You find a house that's not occupied, and you sit in it for 30 days, and then it's yours. They have to kick you out. My friends and I have seized 7 houses, blah, 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 giving this very impassioned speech about how to seize a house and these squatter rights. It's happening in New York. It's happening in Georgia to the point where they've got a special session to change it.
So what's your point, though? So your point is you're afraid more people are going to come here and squat?
Absolutely. I'm afraid that I really am afraid. I mean, look at the massive border crunch right now, and this is even when Trump, I mean, it's not for now, it's just news. You know, when before they were reporting on it to prove what a racist Trump was. Now it's so egregious that it's actually out there as a real problem as news. And what's your boy going to do about it?
My boy?
Your boy
my
Joe.
boy. Yeah, okay. So that's your only concern?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
Economies.
What about the faithful Trumpers who are going to be really upset.
You're always going to have a contingency that's going to be really upset.
Are you not concerned that they're going to raise arms? And
no, not really.
That wasn't a convincing no.
No, I think that's.
I don't know, detective.
No, that's
I don't
crazy.
know.
That's
okay.
Again, small
I hope you're right.
There will be less people acting a fool than there are people bringing fentanyl over the southern border. How's that sound?
Oh boy, we're back to the border. I think in addition to the succession planning, today I gave 4 different talks on accountability and emotional intelligence, and I thought, what a perfect to teenagers at the Anthus Career Academy. And, I was talking about leadership, like really good leadership. Not only has, and we've both run as candidates, right? And you're an elected. It's, you have to have the intelligence, the intellectual intelligence, right? The IQ. But you also need to have the emotional intelligence and be able to relate with others and be your authentic self, which you and I both are. And, that's why we've gotten along. You need to have both. And, as I posed to them today, it's like we've all had bosses or family members or preachers, whatever, that are really, super high IQ, but can't relate to anyone. Right. And we've seen the reverse where someone is, an empath but they lack maybe the intellectual intelligence, right? But when you've got someone who embodies both, that's a true leader.
Absolutely.
And I'm not convinced I see it in either one. Truth be told.
Not.
I see more of those elements in Biden, but you know what? I've never met either man.
Right.
I don't see those elements in Trump's. Again, I haven't met the man. But that's what we deserve as a nation. I think we deserve that here in this community. We need people who are the full package.
Right.
And they do exist.
And I don't know, they do exist, but I don't know that they're necessarily in politics. So that's the other shame of it. You've got good people, good leaders. Politics is a thankless job. It really is, unless you're a really high level, like, president's probably a nice gig to have. But it really is a thankless job. So, but you got to work up to it.
Yeah.
So you've got to be, a councilman or even senator, governor, whatever. You got to work your way up to these higher levels. You got to get in these small things. Start out as clerk treasurer or something like that. And
smaller. Well,
it doesn't necessarily pay off. And great leadership is it's not. You can make more money. Well, it might be a nicer lifestyle to just do it in the private sector. And secondly, you've got to be kind of selfish as a politician because it's always competition. It's you or the other guy.
Right.
You're the other guy. So part of a good leader in a corporation or a not-for-profit like you're used to running, great leadership is one of those boxes you need to check during your tenure is, am I grooming my successor?
Sure.
Who's going to take this over from me?
Succession planning is important.
Yes, but in this case, it's not really their job. It's the party's job.
No, it's the party's job. I agree.
Absolutely failed, I think, to groom a president. I think both of ours have.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
We always feel like we have to cherry pick from a governor or somebody. Again, and except
Notables.
for Trump's celebrity, that got him. Hollywood got him in. But yeah, aside from that, it's going to be somebody you've already heard of.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I cautiously look forward to November.
Oh, I'm excited.
We'll have to revisit this conversation and play sound bites from this broadcast to the one we'll have immediately following. We'll have to do a special drop of a podcast after that to see who's smiling a little bit more behind the microphone than the other.
Right.
But we will be respectful, right?
Of course, we always are.
Of course, we always are.
You called me on the last inauguration. We had a nice talk. I watched my country's gateway into this debacle of...
And yet I adore you.
Financial adversity and whatever else we got going on.
Oh, thanks, followers, for listening to us talk about how we're going to feel.
Right.
After it becomes
all the feels.
It is all the feels. All the feels. Because we are going to feel some things in November. That's for darn sure. Until next time.
Thanks. The opinions and views expressed on Who's Right, What's Left are Matt and Melissa's solely, They are not necessarily the views of the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, or either of the participants' employers. We'd like to thank our production team at Influencer.tv. For more information on how to start your own podcast, check them out at Influencer.tv.
And don't forget, you can like us on Facebook and Instagram. And you can listen and leave your 5-star review and share on both Apple and Spotify. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
These are important, critical conversations we all need to have with each other for the future of our country. Remember to be polite, make it fun, and we can all agree to disagree.